What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Muse podcast. We are here to talk about the NFC West and the 2021 NFL draft. Who won in this division, who lost in this division, and who, kind of came close to both. So we're going to break this down and talk about some winners and losers. So I'm pretty excited. But before we get to it, make sure you check out Raise Energy. All right. In the description of this video, I have a link. You guys can use the promo code SportsMuse. It gets you 15% off of Raise Energy drinks. It is the best tasting energy drink on the market, guaranteed. Okay. So make sure you check it out, guys, and tell a friend. All right. So let's get to it. My winner for the 2021 NFL draft in the NFC West is I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. Kind of a no-brainer, right? So first off, I'm saying this partially because I have a man crush on Trey Lance. Love him. If you guys watch the video of my top 5 bold predictions, I said by the time it's all said and done, 20 years from now, the best quarterback out of this draft class will be Trey Lance. And I got a lot of flack for it. So when we look at Trey Lance, I think he has the complete package. I think he brings a plus arm strength. I think he's a little bit more accurate than people realize. I've heard great things about how he is on the whiteboard, man. He really knows how to read a defense. We didn't see that a lot at North Dakota State because of the lower competition. His legs speak for themselves. So I love the Trey Lance pick. In round 2, we saw the 49ers take guard from Notre Dame, Aaron Banks. When I look at Aaron Banks, I think he's a plug and play kind of guy. He's ready day one if they need him to be. He's a big guy. We're talking 6'4", 6'5", 330 pounds, a bruiser kind of guy that fits in with that San Francisco 49ers offense. In the third round, I just felt like a 49ers kind of guy. And they get Trey Sermon, running back from Ohio State. I think he's going to fit wonderfully in that Shanahan system. I'm pretty sure I could rush for 1,000 yards in that Shanahan system. But Trey Sermon's going to do great things. I think that's like literally just as much as Trey Lance is a match made in heaven for Kyle Shanahan. I think Trey Sermon is as well. We also see in the third round, they get Ambry Thomas, cornerback from Michigan. He's a guy who brings that big, long body. He's pretty ready right now. So if they don't, bring back a Richard Sherman, or if they don't pick up anybody, June 1st cut days, I think he's a guy who could see playing time early into the season. They go in the 5th round. They get a Jaylon Moore, who's a project tackle. He's a year or two off from being able to play, but I think he's a guy who could help down the road. Now we look at my loser for the NFC West, and honestly, no disrespect to this team, I thought they did fine with their picks, but it's the Seattle Seahawks. They just simply didn't have a lot of picks from the Jalen Adams trade. So we see with the second round, they get Dwayne Eskridge, who I actually really like, man. I feel like he's going to be fun to see him play with, Metcalf, Lockett, and Russell Wilson. So I feel like he's going to be fun, man. We've seen some highlights with him. The dude is an absolute burner. He'll run a simple post route and just cook everybody. So I think he'll be fun in the NFL. So I thought that was a pretty solid pick and a fun pick. They go into the 4th round, shore up that secondary a little bit that needed a little bit of help. They get Tre Brown, cornerback from Oklahoma. Again, another long guy, thin. I don't know how well he's going to be able to tackle or hold up in the NFL, but I think he's a guy who can play early on. And they had a 6th round pick. They shore up that offensive line a little bit, which, as we saw with the Rams game in the playoffs, they definitely needed to do that. Just unfortunately, the Seahawks didn't have a lot of firepower in this year's draft. The next team I'm going to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals. So the Cardinals went on to get one of my favorite players in this year's draft, and that is Zeven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa. When I look at Zeven Collins, I'm not sure what his role is, which is kind of fun and kind of scary at the same time, almost like Isaiah Simmons last year for Arizona. I could see Collins as an off-ball will backer. I could see him, in a 34 coming off the edge. I could see him doing a mix of both. The guy's an absolute throwback monster dude, but he can straight up fly. So I think he's going to be a fun chess piece. And if they can figure out how to use him and Isaiah Simmons together, watch out. And plus, Zeven Collins, if you don't like him, make sure you check out his when he got drafted, his talk with Arizona. It was so fun, and it was like so just authentic. So that was definitely made me like him a little bit more. In round 2, they go on and get Rondale Moore. When we look at that pick, I think he's a fun player, and I think he's going to fit in well with Hopkins and Kirk, and if Fitzgerald comes back. Because at first I was kind of like, they don't need another receiver. But I think they're kind of giving up on Andy Isabella a little bit. And I think he's a guy who probably fits in a little bit more with that spread system that Arizona likes to run. In the fourth round, they go out and get the cornerback from Florida, Marco Wilson. Marco Wilson's a solid pick. He had the torn ACL in high school. But overall, he was fine in the SEC. He's going up against the best competition. We've seen him have some good games. We've seen him have some bad games. It's a solid pick. I think it's kind of what you see is what you get with him. And they go on to get, I don't even know how to say his last name, Victor. I'm not even going to try it. Defensive end from Duke. Had a lot of production there at Duke. Doesn't really have the athletic profile where he doesn't have a high ceiling, but his floor is very nice. And I think he's a guy who could play early on for Arizona. The last team in the NFC West we're going to talk about is the Los Angeles Rams, and pretty surprising pick with the second round. So they didn't have a first round pick. In the second round, they take Tutu Atwell. So he's fun, and I'm rooting for him. I hope he does great things. He's 153, 155 pounds. So that's pretty small. Like, think about how much we roasted Marquise Brown or Devontae Smith. This dude's like 15, 20 pounds less than those guys. Now, when I heard Kuiper talk about it, it kind of made a little bit more sense with all the motion that McVay runs. It makes him very, very dangerous. It just seems a little rich to take a gadget player in the second round. So I don't love the pick. I'm really rooting for him because who doesn't like the small guy, the underdog. He's a fun player to watch. Second round just seems a bit high for a guy who's the size of like an eighth grader. In the third round, we see that the Rams take Ernest Jones, linebacker from South Carolina. I think they're looking for him to kind of take over that Corey Littleton role that they kind of missed last year. So I like that pick. I think it's a solid pick, and I think he can play early on in that defense. In the fourth round, again, bolstering up that defense even more. They get a little bit of interior pressure. Bobby Brown, the third defensive tackle from Texas A&M. Fourth round, they also go Robert Rochell, cornerback from Central Arkansas, which I really, really like. I think he's a guy who, he went to Central Arkansas, so he's not a huge name, but I really liked his play. I liked his tape coming out, so I think he can probably not be a day one guy, but maybe halfway through the season or next year, he can be a guy that helps contribute to that defense. We see in round four, they take Jacob Harris, tight end from UCF. Again, we know that McVay loves his tight ends with Gerald Everett, who's now gone, but they signed Higbee to that big contract. So I think that's kind of a replacement pick more than anything else. Overall, I really like a lot of these teams' drafts in the NFC West. The only reason I said Seahawks were a loser just because simply they only had like 3 picks. So it was kind of tough for them to win. But overall, I'm pretty excited for this coming season, and I can't wait to see like Tutu Atwell. Is he going to be like an epic bust, or is he a guy where McVay figures out a role to use him in, or is he Tavon Austin, where it's just like they keep trying to get him the ball, he's just not good. So it's definitely going to be interesting, and I can't wait for this coming season. But if you guys like the episode, please click like and subscribe. Help support the show. It's the only way I can grow, and I will see you guys next time.